On today's show,
Rondo gets suspended, Draymond Green kicks again, and Westbrook scores another triple-double.
should Joel Embiid get a shot at the three-point contest? What's wrong with the Cavs? Hold up, 6 in a row? What's wrong with the Hawks?
And JaVale McGee returns in style for a brand new edition of Weekend Whoopsies.
It's Monday, December 5th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast, joining us live right now on NBA TV or a little bit later on YouTube, we're happy to have all of you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
You used to call me from that payphone.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery, Stashless Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Lily, you look like a different person, mate.
I'm still going to do this. It just feels right to do it.
All right. And last,
Looks right, too.
certainly not least, over there, it is the bearded one. He hasn't shaved that. It's Trey Kirby.
Hey, yo!
TK, what do you got for us?
Guys, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And every Monday, we come into the office hoping to pick the finest whoopsies that the NBA has to offer. And every Monday, we end up debating what is and isn't a whoopsie. Because some things you see, you can tell right away, oh yeah, that's a whoopsie. But other times, it's a bit harder to pin down. So that brings us to today's question. What are some classic weekend whoopsies categories? There are quite a few of these, so here are just a few of our favorites. Like, for instance, the doinker. Anytime a guy gets a ball off the head, that's a doinker. Or its cousin, the ghost pass. A pass to no one. There's also the high one, which is when you go for a high five, but nobody's there to give it to you. And of course, there's the sleepy defense, when you fall asleep on defense. And where would we be without spills? You know, just classic
What a
spills.
waste of beer.
Nonetheless, we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter, what are some classic weekend whoopsies categories? Send us your best tweets to hashtag the starters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get those tweets in. Help us out. We got a fun show tonight. We got the up-down report. We have those weekend whoopsies, but we start with a little Is This News? If you're new to the show, it's pretty simple. Trey's rounded up some recent NBA headlines from the weekend. He's going to pitch them to us, and we're going to determine whether or not they're actually news, because remember, not all news is actually news. Trey, first headline.
Yeah, our first headline comes from the Chicago Tribune, and it says, Rajon Rondo suspended 1 game after exchange with assistant coach. Is this news?
No.
Definitely not news. This happens every year.
It happens every year. Friday, right here, before that happened, we were discussing the Chicago Bulls in the first quarter of the season, and that, maybe they sort of overachieved that first quarter of the season for many reasons. One being, Rajon Rondo hasn't blown up at a coach, hasn't blown up at anybody on Friday. So if us dummy heads could predict that it was going to happen at some point, then the Chicago Bulls must have known that when they signed Rajon Rondo, that this could happen at any point. I don't think it's a huge deal. To me, it's not news. News is newly received or noteworthy information. That's the definition. That doesn't fit the definition for me.
They hedged a little when they signed him because they signed him to a 2-year deal, but that second year is only partially guaranteed. And this is a large reason why. Rondo has a history of behavioural problems, whether it's with teammates, whether it's with coaches, whether it's with referees.
Yep.
And this comes after his easily best performance of the season against the Cavs on Friday
The
night.
highs and lows of Rajon Rondo.
Gets
That's
a
right.
triple-double in a great win over the Cavs.
I know.
And the next night they lose to the Dallas
Mavericks,
Mavericks, and he blows up at a coach. He needs to be better than that. He's not a good enough player to be able to behave like that. Can't shoot still. Very lazy defender.
No one should behave like that.
No one should behave like that. But sometimes it can be allowed for some franchise-type players if they're sort of carrying their team. He's not doing that. He needs to be much better.
Rondo has been suspended by either the league or his team 7 times now since 2012. That's why it's not news. And that's exactly why on Friday's Drop podcast, you sort of alluding to it because we talked about it here on the show on Friday as well. It's just a matter of time before this happens. I mean, the Bulls, in a weird way, might be happy that he's not going to be playing against the Blazers because they've looked pretty good when he's not out there on the floor. But yeah, not news because it's just inevitable with Rondo.
He showed remorse straight away.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what Taz is saying. I don't think it's a really big deal. He's apologized. His teammates do seem to are in his corner.
His back,
they seem to like him. So yeah, they just go from here, and you just sort of wait until the next outburst in a way. Because I think with Rondo I believe he thinks he's always the smartest guy in the room, and maybe he is. So if there's any sort of disagreement with an assistant coach, with a teammate, with an official, he's going to let his opinion be known, and that's when he can get into trouble a little bit.
It happened in Dallas. Maybe it's just the Dallas curse. I mean,
maybe.
he basically got booted off the team 2 years ago in the playoffs.
Trey, next headline.
All right, our next headline comes from CBS Sports, and it reads, NBA makes it clear that officials are not targeting Warriors' Draymond Green. Is this news?
This is crazy what is happening here now. Not only with the Draymond Green kicks, that we saw, of course, the one with Harden, and then he has one on the weekend against the rookie Marquise Chris, where he's flailing. Come on, he's trying to sell a foul, and he ends up kicking Chris in the hand. What's crazy about this whole thing is now, Draymond goes on this rant this weekend, and his agent as well, saying, "Oh, I'm being targeted. Well, yeah, you are, because you keep doing it, and you're really the only one doing the kicking part. And now the NBA has to come out and say, we're not targeting you. We're trying to just get rid of this. It's not basketball, so stop kicking.
They don't
guys."
need to target him because he is bringing it to their attention
it's
anyway.
crazy.
I hope this doesn't stay news for long, and I hope he does reel this in, because I don't believe there's any intent behind what he does, but he's careless. And when you are careless like that, you have to pay a price after all when you have repeated incidents. And we saw it again twice basically over the weekend, where he's just caught himself with his boot up too high. Again, I don't believe he's trying to get James Harden in the head.
It's a wrestling move,
When you have a history and a pattern of this sort of behaviour, it does naturally come to the attention of the officials.
Yeah, I was kind of in his corner last year when this happened throughout the playoffs, because it strictly is a flop, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it is.
it is. It's a glorified flop.
It is the foot version of this. When a
Yeah.
guy just throws his head back, it's throwing his leg up when he gets it.
And Draymond compared it to James Harden when he
it's
went
very
on this
similar.
rant. Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, Braun does it.
Yeah.
A lot of guys do it because a lot of guys like LeBron get hit. They have to throw something back to get the attention of the
To
official.
embellish it, sure.
Yeah, and so that's what's happening with Draymond Green. But in the offseason, the NBA made this a point of education, they call it. I've got it in a presentation in my folder where it reads, point of education, unnatural acts. This is an unnatural act. A kick up into the head region. That's exactly what it is. So they have to look at it.
Draymond says it's natural. All these ones we've seen where, again, he's either trying to create space or what I believe is just trying to sell a hit, which is what he's doing a lot of the time. Okay, these ones, I guess maybe you can convince me that he's just trying.
Maybe that one.
Yeah, that one, sure, the
specifically.
knee for sure. But the one that happened this weekend against Marquise Chris, there's nothing natural about that.
No.
There's nothing natural about it. He kicks the guy in his hand because, again, he's just trying to sell contact. That's all he's doing here. Boom.
Yeah.
Why? Like, who does that?
And he hasn't lost his balance like in other situations. He's on one leg.
Yeah.
He can maintain his balance if he wanted to, but he just wanted to kick someone, it sure looked like. Like, really, I mean, he's searching somebody with his foot.
The league is going to have to, at some point, really throw a fine at him or suspend him for a couple of games, because he seems, at least for all the words he's telling us, well, I'm just going to keep doing this because this is natural. But we saw it with J.R. Smith when he was doing the old untying the shoelace trick. We thought it was funny. The NBA didn't. And eventually, when he did it the second time, they slapped him with a $50,000 fine. I don't remember J.R. Smith doing it again after that.
Lee didn't think it was funny.
No,
He
Lee
thought it was
didn't.
dangerous.
Well,
It is dangerous.
He asked Brent Barry right here on this desk.
I know.
If that ever happened to you, wouldn't you be worried that
Hey,
you
have
might?
you ever tripped over when your shoelace has been undone? I have.
Well, so if you think the shoelaces was dangerous, you obviously think a guy kicking.
Of course I do, because you saw
Hopefully your
Marquise,
mustache took the blow.
you saw Marquise Chris deal with his hand because he obviously got struck by it, so it can be dangerous.
All right, Trey, I think we got time for one more headline.
Yeah, our next headline comes from Ball Don't Lie, celebrating their 9th birthday today. Happy birthday,
happy
guys.
birthday.
BDL.
Yeah, that's right. The headline reads, Russell Westbrook is the first player with 5 straight triple-doubles since Michael Jordan. Is this news?
I keep waiting for him to slow down. I keep waiting for him to have one of those nights where it just doesn't happen. But he seems to be just getting better and stronger and getting bigger triple doubles than we've ever seen. And it's never about an individual's performance. You always want the team to win. They are winning, and I hope he goes on and he beats Wilt Chamberlain's record because he deserves it.
Yeah, this is news. I think we have a rule here on the starters. Correct me if I'm wrong. When your name is in the same headline as Michael Jordan, it's news.
Right.
It's newsworthy.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing here. We haven't seen this since '89, as Trey pointed out, the most consecutive triple doubles. And you said it, Lee, that they're winning. They need him to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a great defense, but they need him, like Iverson did back in the day with those Sixers. They need Westbrook to do everything offensively, create for guys and obviously score a bunch and attack the rim like he does with rebounds. So it's news.
It's worth mentioning that Michael Jordan actually played point guard those 7 games where he got the triple-double. He wasn't playing shooting guard and getting them from that position. He switched positions and got them, and then went back to shooting guard after that.
The remarkable thing, and one of the things I'm watching for this season, is the Thunder and the Rockets. They're in the middle of the Western Conference. They're winning. They're on pace for about 50 wins this season. That is incredible. I think if they keep up that pace, no matter what Russell Westbrook's numbers are, that is an incredible season, incredible accomplishment. And if he finishes with 30, 10, and 9.5.
man.
It's still incredible.
It's still great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm watching for. Is if they're on pace for a 50-win season, they can keep that up. No one really expected that, other than Russell Westbrook.
If he
I
averages
assume.
a 30-point triple-double, he will probably get my MVP vote.
You don't get one.
At this table, I still get one.
Westbrook, when he has a triple-double this year, the Thunder are 8-2, 5-6 when he doesn't. So the numbers right now backing it up. It is pretty unreal stuff. All right, got to take a break. When we come back, Sixers big man Joel Embiid wants in the three-point shootout over All-Star Weekend. Good idea or bad idea? We'll debate that and more in the Up Down Report. Back with the starters, right into the Up-Down Report, where the four of us figure out where we stand on some hot-button NBA topics. We ask you to do the same on Twitter. Hashtag the starters. Thumbs up, thumbs down. First one, guys. Joel Embiid wants to become the first true center to ever compete in the three-point contest at NBA All-Star Weekend. And why not? The rookie is currently shooting 51% on his 35 attempts this season from behind the arc. He has made 3 or more three-pointers in 3 games this season as well. Guys, are you up or down on Joel Embiid going in the three-point shootout? Wow, we're split on this one.
Yeah, I'm going upsy daisy. I don't necessarily know that I want Joel Embiid specifically, but tall guys should be in the three-point contest. We should get a center in there. If they're one of the best shooters in the league, they should be in the three-point contest. The thing is that Joel has only taken 35 during the season so far. There's a lot of tall guys who have shot more than he has.
And made 18 only. He's 121st in the league in three-point makes. If he can bump that up and make 3 or 4 a game, and he's shooting 50%, go for it. This is the most important event of the weekend. We don't want the integrity of it compromised.
Joel Embiid is a great show in and of himself. He will bring hype to the event. It is the best event of the weekend. The slam dunk contest was incredible last year, but this needs a little bit more shine. And I think Joel Embiid will be on social media. He'll be pumping it up. And this is the big man renaissance. This is the year. As you mentioned, Trey, why not show that off? He's got to bump it up a little bit. That's for sure. He's got to shoot some more because technically, John Schuman's out there on the NBA.com. Number was a wizard. Hey, he does not qualify. He doesn't qualify. That's 100% true. He needs to bump it up, and maybe that his minutes restriction has now increased a little bit. Now he's playing 28 minutes per game. Maybe his numbers will go up.
That's why I don't think the Sixers want him to go in this. They just increased his minutes. He's going to probably be in the Rising Stars game on Friday night. Don't give him too much to do. He's playing well. Let's not overexert him here. But we did see maybe the first step of big guys going in the three-point contest. We saw it last year, right, in the skills competition where they had a big man bracket, and Karl Anthony Towns ends up winning that thing. Yeah. We had some star talent in that. We had Cousins and Anthony Davis and Towns and so on.
So and they won.
Maybe it's in play. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm just mad at Schumann, by the way, because he corrected one of my math tweets this weekend. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get him back.
You don't want to mess up math around that guy.
No.
We should point out, big guys have won the three-point shot. Dirk is huge. Dirk's a legit 7-footer, and he won that in 06. And then Kevin Love, what's he, 6'9", 6'10"?
Yeah, somewhere around that.
He won it in 2012.
Floppy
Dirk with the salad, yeah.
I mean, Embiid would be the first center, though, as you mentioned.
First true center. I mean, Sam Perkins, a big guy who went in it, but not a real true center either, for sure. So, all right, let's hear from you guys. Moving on. The sky is falling in Atlanta right now. It's bad. After getting absolutely hammered up in Toronto on Saturday, the Hawks have lost 6 straight and 9 of 10 games. So who's to blame? Is it Dwight? Is it Schroeder? Is it the bench? Or is it the coach? Isn't it always the coach?
Yep.
Guys, are you up or down on the Hawks firing Coach Budenholzer just 21 games into this season? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Emphatic.
Yeah, the Hawks have come too far in Budenholzer's time there to fire him now. They're going through a rough patch. They've played 8 of their last 10 games on the road over 16 days, and Millsap's been out the last 3 games.
Right.
The last 2 losses have been 80 points. That's obviously not a great sign.
Yeah, lost by 36 to Detroit and then 44 the next night to Toronto. That's rough.
Yeah, so they obviously have to play better and improve, because if Budenholzer loses the locker room, we know that's pretty much a death knell for any coach. I don't think it's gotten to that point just yet, though.
Yeah, if they're going to be Spurs East, you don't fire your coach after a bad 10-game stretch. He went 8-2 the first 10 games this season, and people weren't saying, let's give him a 20-year extension, right? You got to be fair both ways. If you want to be the Spurs, you got to act like the Spurs.
Yeah, and let's zoom out here for a second. They're 10-11. Their over-underline was about 43 this year. So, they're basically playing 400. Yeah, they got off to an incredible start. But if they're a 500 team with a young point guard who took over, Would that be shocking? I mean, they won 48 games with Jeff Teague in there last year. I think we should have all expected, no matter what happened in the front court with Dwight Howard and Al Horford, that they were going to take a little bit of a step back.
Yeah,
because Dennis Schroeder has never run a basketball team before.
You didn't think they were going to be in the bottom part of the league when it came to their offense. Their defense is there.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part of this whole thing. I think they're still ranked second in the league in defense. They can't score efficiently at all right now.
No, but when we talked about last year at the trade deadline, trading Jeff Teague, you knew that Dennis Schroeder would be a step back. He's never run a basketball team.
Right, officially, yeah, absolutely right. All right, I think we got time for one more here. Final one, guys. After the Cavs dropped their third straight game on Friday night, LeBron said Cleveland needs to start playing real ball, adding that we've got to get out of the honeymoon stage. He went on to say last year is last year, and after ring night, it's over with. Guys, I'm interested. Are you up or down on the Cavaliers' honeymoon stage excuse? I'm up.
Yeah.
Buy it.
Yeah, I don't mind. This is actually probably not a bad thing for LeBron. Gets the guys focused again. Now, no excuses can be made. They've got to get out there and show that they are, again, going to go back to the finals. We all think they will, but a good couple of losses is okay for teams. The same with the Warriors. When Steve Kerr and those guys lose, it's like, great, now the guys have got no excuses to take any nights off.
Yeah, we all think they're going to get back to the finals. I'm sure the Cavs think they're going to get back to the finals. It's kind of hard to stay motivated. This, to me, is better than unfollowing the Cavs on Twitter and doing it kind of back channels ways. Just call the guys out. There's going to be a post-title hangover. It kind of happened with the Warriors coming into this season. They thought they were going to be great. Struggled right away, got it on track. Same thing's going to happen with the Cavs, I'm sure.
Last year, the same thing happened. It just wasn't called a honeymoon phase. I mean, remember, we were all wondering, what is going on with the Cavs? They're 30-11. They're falling apart. And they got it back together. They fired their coach and they got it back together.
All right, got to take a break. When we come back, weekend whoopsies. You guys have been watching the show long enough, so we asked you to help us out. What are some classic weekend whoopsies when it comes to the categories? You guys hit us up on Twitter, #TheStarters. Trey, you got a few of the best answers.
Yeah, some really good answers. This one comes from Aiden, who says, in-game snack time, when players eat the fans' food when they fall into the stands.
Yeah.
We considered it. Rodder says, ballon d'air, French for the air ball, in honor of Joakim Noah.
And a Yui.
Gorilla says, the sloppy floppy, a ridiculous attempt to draw an offensive foul, Marcus Smart style.
I like that one.
I like that.
That's a good one. All right, keep your suggestions coming in, and while you do, let's get to the real weekend whoopsies from the past 3 days in the association.
LeBron paid off his World Series bet with Dwayne Wade. There are a few cameras around Friday, walking into Chicago, looking dapper. He looks good in it.
He didn't tuck it in, though.
It's not much of a bet, really. He looked good.
We learned this weekend that Tibbs has officials' names written on tape that he sticks in front of the Wolves bench. Got to know who to scream at. We're screaming at Monty, Kevin, and Brent tonight. Numbers included.
Monty! Hey, you got to respect the refs. Terrence Ross doesn't respect the proper pass right there.
Come on, Terrence.
A little bouncy.
Yeah.
They're up 25.
Yeah,
he was showboat.
He was
for
feeling
Over the
good
head
about
alley-oop
himself.
would have worked
Hey,
as well.
Dwayne's
doesn't
not having
like
it.
No.
Well, from Terrence Ross to Terrence Jones at the free throw line. Watch the sweat get in his eye there. That's going to sting a little. Ah! Yeah, wipe it.
Oh, that's the worst.
Dribble and spin it again.
Marcin Gortat and Patrick Mills, full name Patrick Mills. Natali and the Smalley had some great interactions. I'm watching Gortat come from the right. Bang! Oh, yeah.
Trucks him.
Like
It's
a
not over.
heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, one more time.
He's just throwing his body around right
Gortat, just all over the place on this possession. What a flop.
Sloppy floppy, I think that was.
You're right.
First one.
Suns and Warriors. Zaza Pachulia comes up with a loose ball, and here comes the slowest fast break in NBA history.
Strip the gas, man.
And he botches it. Oh.
More like haha.
Okay. This will make you haha. JaVale McGee goes to inbound the ball for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, I'm going to inbound it. Oh, no.
Yes.
No, he's
That's
trolling
his goal.
us. He's trolling us.
This is
Taking
goal,
a dive
man.
on this one.
He knows his Shackton role, and he's playing it oh so well, and he's embracing it. He loves
He
it.
hated it in the preseason.
That one's for you, Goldfarb. Oh, man. Dario Saric is going to drop Jonas Jerebko. Breaks those Swedish ankles like a cheap piece of Malm IKEA furniture. It
So you're
happens.
saying he can just screw his ankles back
Yeah,
on?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It
Grab him an
happens.
Allen wrench.
It happens. It's cheap furniture, man.
Those moms were causing some injuries, actually. They were falling forwards. It was dangerous. Tamari Carroll falls forward right into the stands. A little smooch for a fan. Everything's all
Yeah,
right.
nice.
That one's good. Guys, got a question for you. How many Wolves does it take to grab a rebound?
2?
Well, you'd think that.
Four.
You would maybe
Five.
think one.
A school of wolves.
Yeah. Shabazz and Cole. Come on.
Yeah. Always important to blame the other guy.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Come on, Cole. Jeez, man.
There are a lot of travels that happen in the NBA. This one is egregious, though, and it doesn't get called. Paul George, watch the bench. Austin Rivers gets up. Angry. He should be angry. Whoa!
Yeah, he's
Can't
mad.
believe it. Watch Aaron Gordon here with the sneaky off the back inbounds play.
Nice.
It worked. It worked for Eric Bledsoe last weekend. So Gordon gives it a go, and yep, turns out it works for him too.
We're going to finish this one off with a couple bad air balls from the Magic big men. Get in the paint. Now, these guys actually shoot it pretty well.
Right.
Ibaka, a great three-point shooter, but on this possession,
Back-to-back air.
back-to-back air.
Greg is shocked.
Corliss Williamson didn't shoot 3 balls.
Yeah, shout out to Corliss there. I like that. All right, one more break. When we come back, Lili's very solid play. It took 5 months and one offer sheet from the Brooklyn Nets, but Donatas Motiejunas is back with the Rockets. Yes, earlier today, Houston management opted to match the Nets' 4-year, $37 million offer. And according to reports, the Rockets will waive guard Bobby Brown to create a spot, so Demo ain't going anywhere for now. Tonight's pick and play, it's a good game. Cavs and Raptors, 7:30 Eastern on NBA League Pass. I'm the only one going with the Raps, who have won 6 straight. Everyone thinks the Cavs will get off the schneid here and pick up the W. Lee, VSP.
We're going to Detroit and watch this bizarre of a pass from Andre Drummond through to KCP for the lap. No. Marky Morris in the corner for a beautiful swish bomb. Here it is again, the big penguin with a big pass. Beautiful stuff there from the Pistons in the corner. That's what I call a very solid play.
Oh, I missed the stash.
Marky Morris. All right, let's stay in Detroit for the thing we'd really like to squeeze in here. Reggie Jackson, back for his first game this season. Maybe hasn't had put on a warm-up in a while, so Benny Udrih helps him from behind there. Here, let me get that on for you. That is teamwork, baby.
he's rusty,
It's a
right?
tight shirt. Let me help you get that on. Great stuff.
Tonight, in addition to that League Pass game, Cavs and Raps, 2 great games here on NBA TV. It's the Celtics and Rockets at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Pacers and Warriors. Pacers have been playing better, so that could be a good one there. Again, enjoy those games. There's a lot of games on tonight.
Yeah.
11.
And speaking of 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Starters Twitter show. We'll break down as many of those big games or storylines from those games at least. Join us live. It's on Twitter. Just makes sense. Lee,
Yeah.
we got some fan signs, I believe.
Beautiful. This is Ethan at New York on Friday night. Really good job there, Ethan. And Cool Hand Joseph
Questionable.
and his buds
Zinger.
were at the Bulls and Mavs game. Now, they've got 2 signs technically. They even fired up the pun gun on one of their signs
Okay.
there.
What do they got?
Put some really good puns on there. Go to our Facebook page because that's where they're going to be and you can see them all and you can have a little bit of fun with them yourself. So
All right.
keep
I
these
like them
fan posts
changing
coming.
the color there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Real nice.
That's
Very
a
cool.
nice touch. Keep those signs coming, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks for joining us, folks. And remember, That's Bulgogi is a foodie's version of That's Baloney.
I'll go up. Brace the night, people.